Yeah, anyway, it was my mistake. A complete and utter planning cock-up right at the death. Morning folks, and waking up to another grey day, but at least it's dry at the moment. Great night last night in Carrickfergus at Walter's Place, an Ollie's bar, and today we're off to the Titanic Museum. So the first stop was going to be the Titanic Museum, and then we're going to skirt by Strangford Lough, jump on a ferry before ending up at our final destination of Banbridge. And about 25 minutes later, we arrive in Belfast. According to the website, the Titanic experience is the world's most authentic retelling of the iconic story, and it takes about 1.5 to 2.5 hours. Be aware you can only get in with advance booking only. Unfortunately, we didn't check that bit out. And the tickets cost about £25 per adult. When you arrive at the Titanic Museum, you'll find out there's plenty of parking in the underground car park. So this is the Titanic Museum in Belfast. As befits the name, it's massive. And you've got coffee bars, memorabilia, you can buy t-shirts, you can do anything except get into the museum unless you want to wait 4 hours. Yes, sadly we didn't realise you had to pre-book to get into the Titanic Museum, so when we arrived we found out we had a 4-hour wait for the first available slot. That obviously wasn't going to work for us. So we had to decide what we could do instead.
I have a plan.
Get a plan. Go on.
I've always fancied doing a political tour of Belfast in a cab, but sadly on this occasion they were all booked up. The next best thing was a bus tour around the city, which proved to be really fascinating, particularly our visits to both the Falls and Shankhill roads, which featured so often in the news broadcast during the Troubles.
There are 60 of these peace walls located in Belfast. In total, the walls stretch for over 21 miles. They represent a very sad and poignant reminder that during the Troubles over 3,500 people died, with almost 70% of deaths happening within 500 metres of one of these peace walls.
Here we are back at the Titanic Museum after our impromptu hop on hop off bus tour. We're on the city centre around the Falls Road and the Shankhill Road. It was fascinating. It worked out in the end and the sun's come out. So now time to get back on the road.
Between 1900 and 1930, Holland and Wolff was Belfast's biggest employer by a long way. Construction of the Titanic started in 1909 and took 3 years to complete. April the 10th, 1912, the Titanic set off on its maiden voyage from Southampton to New York. And of course, the rest, as they say, is history. The road from Belfast through to Newtonard takes us down the Blair Main Road South, named after Paddy Mayne, probably the most famous of the original SAS members, the most decorated soldier of the Second World War. The Portaferry Strangford ferry service crosses the Strangford Lough at its narrowest point and takes about 10 minutes.
Well, good afternoon folks. Finally arrived at our destination for today, which is the Belmont House Hotel. Anyway, let's go and check out the room. Room 10 at the Belmont House Hotel. And, well, what do you think?
It's lovely. It's really nice.
Is the bed big enough?
The bed's very big, looks very comfy, and it's got a bath, which is even better. Plenty of storage and a nice view.
Lovely view. Let's have a check out the bathroom. Oh yes, that will be fine. Soak in the tub. Very nice. So, got some work to do, downloading, then we'll check out the bar, and it'll almost be Guinness o'clock.
Busy day today.
Hurrah for Guinness o'clock, folks. So let's down to the bar. Oh, look at the view from this little window here. Classic.
Right, I'm thirsty. It's time for a Guinness. Let's find out where that bar is. I believe it's located somewhere in the basement of the hotel.
Belmont House Hotel, and actually a very nice dining room.
Place. I think we do lots of weddings here.
Yeah, as you'd imagine. Then we're going for a starter of cream,
soup,
carrot and
ginger. Carrot, it looks really lovely.
And for the main,
so this is a steak sandwich on a ciabatta with peppercorn sauce and skinny fries, and it looks really good.
And I went for the ribeye steak with chips and a glass of Cabernet Sauvignon, as you do.
So is the Belmont House Hotel a good place to stop, especially if you're going to see the Game of Thrones studio tour?
Belmont House describes itself as one of the finest hotels in Ireland, and it certainly is impressive to look at. Located just off the main A1 in Banbridge, the Belmont Hotel is just 24 miles from Belfast and a 90-minute drive from Dublin. We didn't venture out of the hotel grounds, but it is a short walk to shops and only a 7-minute ride to the Game of Thrones studio attraction. It's approached via a long sweeping drive which takes visitors directly to reception or a large tarmac car park where we left the bikes very securely overnight. Our room was number 10. It was large and bright and beautifully furnished. It overlooked the gardens and the drive to the front of the building. The bed was huge and comfortable, and there was a large TV, good Wi-Fi, and the nice little touches you'd expect from what we'd learned is primarily a wedding and corporate events venue. We didn't have a great deal of interaction with the staff, but the reception, bar and restaurant personnel were all friendly and helpful. We chose to eat in the hotel restaurant in the evening, and the cream of carrot and ginger soup we both had to start was delicious. The steaks we had for our mains was tasty, but a tad overcooked. There were the usual options available on the menu for breakfast. Our main reason for visiting Banbridge was to do the Game of Thrones studio tour, so if that's of interest to you, this is a really great place to stay.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to our, I think, penultimate day on our Wild Atlantic Way adventure. We had a great night last night here at the Belmont House Hotel. Beautiful place, great food, great Guinness, and today we've woken up, it's a bit grey, but it's dry, and we're off to the Game of Thrones studio tour, which we're both very excited about. And then we're going across the mountains of Mourne, so let's check in later.
So our first stop was going to be the much anticipated Game of Thrones studio tour. Then we're going to cross the mountains of Mourne before hopping on the Carrickfergus Lough ferry and then heading south to Dublin Port. If you're going to visit the Game of Thrones studio tour, then you'd be aware you can't actually park there. So you have to ride about 7 minutes to a bus stop, then catch a bus, and it's about 15 minutes to the actual studio itself.
Game of Thrones studio tour at last. Game of Thrones studio tour, highly recommended. Brilliant time that.
Absolutely brilliant.
Mind you, if you're big fans of it like we are, can't go wrong, can you? Now, back on the road.
The mountains of Mourne are located on the southeast corner of Northern Ireland, with 12 summits rising above 2,000 feet on the eastern side. They also include the highest mountain in Northern Ireland, which is Slieve Donard, and are located in an area of outstanding natural beauty, partly owned by the National Trust. And so, in accordance with my obsession with being on time, we arrived with an hour and a half to spare, so we could relax, chill out, waiting for our time to board. No problems. Or so I thought.
We made it, folks. Here we are on board the ferry, just in the nick of time. Actually, we've plenty of time to spare, like a couple of hours. Or were we late? What do you think?
Well, it was very smooth boarding given that we were 13 hours late. Because somebody, not a million miles away, thought the boarding at 2:15 meant 2:15 in the afternoon. Where really, on closer inspection of the ticket, it was 2:15 this morning. So technically we're 13 hours late.
Yeah, anyway, it was my mistake. A complete and utter planning cock-up right at the death.
So this is what actually happened when I realised I'd made a complete and utter cock-up and was trying to persuade her to squeeze 2 more bikes onto an already packed ferry. Unfortunately, she was having none of it and said I was holding up the queue and could I get out the way, please.
Unfortunately, nobody else does.
So here's to a big shout out for the lady on reception in Dublin at Stena Line that wangled it for us to get on.
Because it's a packed ferry.
Because it's heaving with people. So a big shout out to Stena.
Anyway, all's well that ends well. Yeah.
Beer o'clock will be late tonight.
Yeah.
Thankfully, after a bit of a stressful day, we hadn't got far to ride because I booked a pub only a few minutes ride from Holyhead Ferryport. The plan the next day was a short an hour and a half ride to Mold in North Wales to meet up with one of our subscribers, Aid, who always said if you're passing my way, pop in and we'll grab a coffee. As if riding through the wettest July on record in Ireland wasn't enough, the weather had one more trick up its sleeve. We rode into the teeth of Storm Anthony as it battered North Wales and made for a very demanding ride indeed.
So we've just arrived from the soggiest ride from Anglesey to Mold, and who should we bump into but Paul, who's a subscriber to the channel and follows the channel. And is this your local kind of cafe, Paul?
Yeah, I live about 6 miles up the road.
And you've done the Wild Atlantic Way?
Southern half.
Southern half, and you're going back for the northern half?
Next May, hopefully.
Brilliant.
So I got the idea for doing that from your film.
And who else should we bump into on this godforsaken awful day? But this is Aid.
Hiya. I think you had about 4 followers when I started watching you.
One of the originals, Aid.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, this is Paul, by the way. Paul, this is Aid.
Hello, Paul. Another one.
Yeah. I'm glad you've ridden down on your bike today.
I have, yes. Especially for you. I've got a Royal Enfield Meteor and a 1200 Custom Harley.
And you won't get that out in weather like this, would you?
No, it has been, no.
Really?
Yeah. If you go, I mean, you start out in the dry and you can't avoid it sometimes.
But you've been polishing it within an inch of its life, though.
Correct. Takes about best part of an afternoon to clean it, and then within 20 minutes of riding it in the rain, it's back to where you started. It's like the Forth Road Bridge.
And so this was the end of our Wild Atlantic Way adventure. sheltering from Storm Anthony and swapping stories with Paul and Aid in the Old Stores Biker Cafe.
Our adventure started in September 2022 when we caught the ferry to Rosslare and then rode the coast around to Galway. In July 2023, we headed straight to Dublin, right across country to Galway to pick up the route and head north to the finish at Malin Head. And then obviously went through Belfast and back to Dublin. In true MMD fashion, we took our time and enjoyed every second of it.
The Wild Atlantic Way is an epic ride, regardless of the weather. Ireland is truly magical and we'll definitely be back. So until next time, Sláinte.